So with Koha, there's an acquisitions module where if you acquire new books, you can use this new feature to save yourself time. So as we've noted on the slide here, this will be useful for you if you upload MARC files to your Koha instance. So some libraries upload MARC files regularly. If that's the case for your library, this feature might be helpful for you. You can configure most of the feature yourself. One thing you would need to do is contact your Koha support vendor to schedule something called a cron job, which is just a script that will need to run on a regular basis on your server. That's something that has to be done on the server, so either by your Koha support vendor, like Catalyst, or someone that has access to your Koha server will need to be able to do that task. So what are the steps for this feature and how does it work? Well, first thing we need to do, as I mentioned earlier, most of the time with a major release of Koha, when you upgrade, things need to be actually explicitly enabled for you to use them. This is an example. This new feature requires you to enable the MARC ordering automation system preference. By default, it's set to disable, so in the screenshot here, we've enabled it. Without actually coming and enabling it, you can't use this new feature and you won't be able to use it or see it. So that's the first step, coming in and enabling the system preference. And for those of you that aren't familiar with system preferences, within Koha, on the home page, if you click on Koha administration, that takes you to a page where you can start to search for system preferences. In Koha, system preferences are essentially settings that can be controlled by librarians. It's accessible for you to enable and disable or configure things. There's over 1,000 system preferences within Koha, and the reason for that is the community is always really keen to add configurability and to make things granular that libraries can choose to configure Koha to work best for their situation. So some libraries will have some functionality turned on or some features turned on, and others will have it turned off. The Koha community doesn't want to just treat everyone the same. They want to enable libraries to use Koha the best way for the library. Once we've enabled that system preference, we need to define some mapping, so actually set some values for other system preferences. So we've got two other preferences, and they are MARC fields to order and MARC item fields to order. So for these ones, we need to define, there's actually some quite good examples underneath these mapping fields. So what we need to do is put a value, for example, price. So that is a field, and then we need to define what MARC field, what MARC subfield are we going to fetch the price data from. So basically think of it this way. You're uploading a MARC file to your Koha instance. These settings, these system preferences are saying to Koha, look for a specific subfield in the MARC file that's uploaded and store it as a particular value within Koha. So in this first example, we've got price, and then we've got colon, and then we've got $975 $P. What that means is when we upload a MARC file to Koha, Koha is going to look, is there a 975p subfield in the MARC file? If there is, it's going to store that as the price data. Because what we're doing with this whole feature, this new feature, is we're going to be able to create new acquisition baskets and orders from the MARC files that we upload. So we have to tell Koha, for this specific MARC subfield, create an order and set the price of that order to whatever's in the 975P subfield. So it gives examples below these two system preferences for what fields you might want to use for price, quantity, budget code, and so on. So you add the different settings that you want in here, and you save that. And then what we want to do is we want to create a new, what's called MARC order account. So that's in the administration module, and it's under acquisition parameters. And there's a new page, so you'll see a link that says MARC order accounts. And this is what the page looks like. And what we've got is this screenshot here has some annotations, but the first annotation is around you need to choose a vendor within Koha. So to use this feature, if you haven't used the acquisition module before within Koha, you'd want to create a vendor and a fund. If you've already got those set up, then the vendor and fund drop-down at the top of this form will have options in it that you can select. The second point is you have to define the download directory. So this is where are MARC files, when you upload them to Koha, where are they stored on the server? Thankfully, this is quite easy to set because it's always the same file path. So we can see in the slide here, the file path is that you'd put right into the input field, into the text field here, var lib koha, and then instance name. That might be something that you want to ask your Koha support vendor to confirm what the instance name is, because that's something that's set on the server. And then PMP, and then Koha, that same instance name again, and then upload. So that's saying this is where the MARC files, when you, the librarian, uploads it to the server, this is where they live on the server. And then the third field down the bottom under check for embedded item record data, we want to say tick yes for that, because we want to, if there are items in the MARC file that you're uploading, we want those items to be included in the acquisition order that Koha is going to automatically create for you. We don't want Koha to ignore item data in the MARC file that you upload. Then we're going to stage a MARC file. So for those of you that have worked with Koha and import MARC records, you'll know about staging records for import. So this is essentially you navigate to the cataloging module, you click on stage records for import, and then you get a browse button where you can actually choose the MARC file on your computer that you want to upload. You select that. So in this screenshot here, the MARC file I've got is orders_test.marcxml. So that's the file, and I've clicked upload file. And you don't need to actually do the whole process of staging it. All you want to do is simply upload the file to the server, get it into that download path that we talked about in the previous file, var lib koha. So we're getting the file added to the server, but we're not actually staging and importing it. This step 7 is the step where you want to you'll need to contact your Koha support vendor because you need them to schedule a script to run on your server. This script is MARC ordering process, and you need to let your Koha support vendor know how often you'd like it to run. So this is going to depend on how often you upload MARC files to your server. So if you're uploading a MARC file every day, then you'll probably want to ask your support vendor to make this MARC ordering process script to run daily. But let's say you only upload files once a week on a Monday. Then if you let your Koha support vendor know that, they can then schedule it to run once a week, potentially on a Tuesday morning, so that it can pick up all the MARC files that you have uploaded to Koha. Or maybe you just run upload files occasionally, and so once a month would be sufficient. Once you've uploaded those files to Koha, and once the Koha support vendor has set up the cron job to run, the automated script to run, and you've heard, okay, it has run, then what you can do is navigate to that vendor, to your vendor account page within Koha. So my vendor that I created the MARC order account with was called My Vendor. It's just a test vendor I've created. And we can see highlighted in yellow as a new basket under this vendor. I haven't created the basket. Koha automatically created it using that MARC XML file that I uploaded but didn't stage. So Koha's automatically done this, and we can see it has item count of 8, and it has bibliographic record count of 2, and it has items expected of 8. So Koha's automated creating a basket for me. If I click on this basket, I can see that we've got some records in here with prices. And these prices come from those mappings we set at the start, where we said price colon 975p. That's telling Koha when we create these items in the basket, we want to set these price fields from specific subfields in the MARC. So that's how this has all been populated from those mappings that you defined, that we defined. So now that these items are listed for our basket, you can click on those items and it's actually been added. There's a bibliographic record and an item record in the Koha catalog. So you can actually have a look at that. But Koha has essentially automated creating the records, as well as creating a basket in acquisitions module, creating an order in acquisitions module, and then populating all of these different fields for you just because you have uploaded, just from uploading a MARC file. Koha's done all of that other work for you. So it's a good time-saving tip if you use and upload MARC files to your Koha instance.